Welcome, everybody, to the Monday, March 10th, 2025 regular, both organizational meeting and regular meeting of the Select Board. We will start with the organizational meeting at 7 p.m. The first is to elect officers of the Select Board. So I will ask for a nomination for chair.
I nominate Jessica Holland.
Second.
All right, terrific. Any discussion?
You want to do it?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
accept.
That's
Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Actually, I don't know if
Sorry,
whatever, we
Ken.
have a quorum. Andy, are you willing to? Okay, so I would like to make a motion to appoint Andy Coyne as vice chair.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, terrific. Then, town officials, I don't think we have, do we have a beautification committee circulated yet? We may have to wait on that for next week. Do we need road commissioners?
Should be, wait a minute.
But that's not actually, I'm not sure.
to what's the
I thought
question?
we do that.
Road commissioner, do you stay
Not part
appointed
of this
I
list.
think so. I believe so. It has been appointed.
every year?
I thought we just don't we include you as part of this bulk list?
Oh,
Either way,
doesn't-
I'm happy, I'll make a motion to nominate Greg Melman as our road commissioner.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. So we're gonna run the slate, or if we are.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we look at the town appointments from 2024, we can't do planning commission just yet because, and for the ZBA, because I have to get the letters. But I'll do that at the next one. So the slate will not include those two.
Planning, or what was the other one? What was the other besides planning?
Zoning Board of Adjustment, the
Okay.
ZBA,
Okay.
sorry.
Thank you.
So, and I'll read these all down. I just wanted to see if, so the town hall liaison will not be Len, obviously. Do we have anybody who wants to be the town hall liaison?
Who was,
Christina?
What are the things that you have to do?
That's a very good
I think
question.
primarily you're the point of contact between the Vermont Preservation, the Vermont
Right,
Historic
right.
Preservation.
Yeah.
There's
Am I the person that call if the heat's not working? Because
no.
No, that's an office thing. But I'll tell you what, we do want to paint the town hall this year.
Okay.
So there might be some questions you'll track down with help on, are there questions about what's allowed? Because it's the building is protected under historic preservation.
Right.
And also maybe,
Yes, you'll
try to get the meeting.
oh, yes, Peter Mandich,
Well, they are my speed.
Yeah.
You'll get help. You'll have help.
yeah.
Have any
I
questions?
was telling you.
I was looking at my salary.
Okay, great, oh my God.
I don't see this on the list.
Yeah. and
Oh, on the back,
then
turn
they-
it over.
Mark.
Yeah.
And then
All of them.
Andy, you still willing to do sheriff?
Yes,
Okay. Now Karen's not here, sextons. So I think sextons will have to put off Sarah because Bruce,
Is Karen still sick?
oh, sorry.
Yeah. no.
I'm all the way at the end of the appointment list under cemeteries, East Jamaica, Jamaica Village. So that's open, obviously.
Well, yeah.
And I don't know if Nelson would be willing to take those on. So can we just push that to the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Karen has been doing all of that.
Oh, she has. Do you know if she
We
was
should still, we should,
looking for someone?
we can ask
She
her.
does.
we can ask.
Oh, you're texting her? Thank you.
Is she still sick?
No, she's in Mexico, isn't she?
Oh.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
All right.
Sorry. She's
On vacation.
indisposed.
Um,
Right.
So there's a number of ones,
Yeah.
even the ones that are just renominating, I think that we should, for the record, still read those and not just say.
Oh, I'm gonna read the whole
Okay,
list. I'm
okay.
gonna read the whole list into the
And
record.
also to read out loud the ones that are vacant, so
Sure.
that we know, the public knows that we still seeking, there's several
Well, I'll
positions.
do one as a motion, and then whatever's open, I'll just say as an update.
Yeah.
Once we.
That was just a suggestion.
Right,
but
yeah, yeah, sure, absolutely. And is Pat still willing to be on the rec committee? Do you know?
I guess.
Husband of Pat? Okay.
Yes.
If she is objecting, we can always change it next week. All right, I think that's all I know about as having to wait. Since we've already voted on road commissioner, I'm not gonna read you again, Greg. What about, we don't, also open is gonna be health officer, because Jocelyn is not a resident any longer.
And I am not interested.
And you're not
in
interested in
health
deputy, so
officer.
both of those.
He wants off the deputy officer,
Say
right?
that again?
I wanna,
Off
I don't
Yeah.
wanna,
He's listed as
I don't
deputy.
wanna
Right.
inadvertently slide into the first position.
So that makes it us again until we,
Yeah, yes, that's us
Yeah.
until otherwise filled. And the energy coordinator is open. Okay, so, I'm going to make a motion for the following town appointments for the 2025-26 year. Newspaper of record, Brattleboro Reformer and the Commons. Fence viewer, Andy Coyne, Greg Melmans, Patrick McQuillan.
is now the time to speak up. You could take me off that, please.
Oh, you don't want to be
No.
fence viewer? Okay, sorry.
That turned into
Right, we're gonna have to
more than
start
I
again.
bargained for.
And it is a 3-position, it's a.
So one is
mini-
open.
Mini board, so there is one.
Right,
opening.
one is open. Yep. Okay. So I'll start again. I will make a motion for the town appointments for the year tax year 2025, 2026. Newspaper of record, Brattleboro Reformer and the Commons. Fence viewer, Greg Melmans, Patrick McQuillan, one position open. Animal control officer, Rob Willis. Surveyors of wood, lumber, and weigher of coal, Tom Tolbert. Tree warden, Ben Williams. The health officer position is open. The deputy health officer is open. Planning commission, open, pending requests from the planning commission. Zoning board of adjustment, open, pending requests from the ZBA. Our principal representative to DVFiber would be Christopher Robbins. Our alternate, Jessica Pollock. Our emergency management director to be Greg Lakis. Our Rescue Inc. representative, Stuart Barker. The energy coordinator is open. 911 coordinator, Karen Amadon, with support from the listers. Our flood zone administrator position is open. Wyndham Regional Commissioners, the voting member would be Andy Coyne. The alternate is open. Transfer station liaison, Wyndham Solid Waste Management Division Representative Kate Holman. The alternate transfer station assistant liaison, Wyndham Solid Waste Management District liaison alternate is Jessica Pollock. Recreation Committee, Kate Ullman, Pat Melmans, and Sarah Wiswall. Village Beautification, Karen, do you know, are we looking at the same slate as last year? So it would be Karen, Kate, Karen Amadon, Kate Ullman, Barbara Ferguson, Mercedes Ross, Sarah Malosky, and Tara Riley. Oh, Tara Riley, right, Tara Riley. So I'm gonna list those as on our resolution. Fire Warden Stuart Barker, Assistant Fire Warden Dominic Mangiano. The Senior Solutions Representative is open. Town Hall Liaison, Christine, our newest measure.
Thank you.
Christina. I wrote Christine and I read it as Christine. Sorry, Christina. Town Office Liaison, Jessica Pollock. Sheriff Department Liaison, Andy Coyne. Cemetery Sextons. Rossonville, Nelson, Coleman. Can I put you for the rest?
Sure.
East Jamaica, Jamaica Village, South Wyndham, West Jamaica, South Hill, and Pikes Falls Cemeteries, Karen Hamden. And that is the full slate. Do I have a second? Thank you. Any discussion?
Just that I talked to Stuart Barker and
Okay.
he would be willing to continue as our Rescue Inc. rep. And I didn't ask him about fire warden. Was he the fire warden?
Yes, but
He'll do it.
he'll do it as well.
Yeah, and so I just said, just so you know, not that anyone else isn't doing anything, I said, how many of those do you have to go to? And he said, typically one every month and then random special committee meetings. So 20 or 30 meetings a year, depending on what's going on in the world.
As part of.
The Rescue Inc. rep,
Rescue Inc., yeah,
that's what he represents us, but he also represents rescue's
right,
interests. But-
right. I too had heard that he wanted to.
Yes, well, I've been
didn't
working with
ask
him and then
the
I
word I got.
I just as a courtesy asked him, but I
Okay.
forgot about the other things.
Okay. Great. Any other discussions on the slate? Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. All right, now we're gonna move to the regular meeting, right? I'm not missing anything, am I? Sarah,
No.
to be honest?
I
Okay,
think
Close the
so.
meeting.
Adjourn.
Do I make
I
a-
will,
I'll make a motion to adjourn the organizational.
Second.
Do we have to?
second, did I hear a second?
Second.
Yes. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye, great. All right. I'll now move into the regular meeting of the Jamaica Select Board for Monday, March 10th, at 7:14 PM. Quickly, I'll call for any late additions to the agenda.
There are some overweight permits.
Okay. Anything else in the,
That's what we're doing. That's our regular agenda.
okay, terrific. First order of business is to approve the minutes from the February 24th regular meeting. I'll make a motion to so approve.
Second.
Right, any discussion on the minutes? Seeing no discussions, I'll call the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, the next order of business is to discuss and approve providing a letter in support of the purchase of what is referred to as the College Hill lot, which is off of West Hill South, by the Northeast Wilderness Trust. We are joined by Peter, who you'll see right there on the screen. As I mentioned in earlier communications, I have to abstain from the vote. So I'm going to let Peter introduce the topic and explain. Peter, I did not mention to you, so you're going to be, I think we did discuss somewhat that there's folks here who represent the Jamaica Area Mountain Bike Alliance. I was like, Association Alliance. So they'll have some questions to you about the property with respect to biking. But just warning you about that, and please go ahead.
Well, thank you, Jessica, and thank you all for taking the time to have me on the agenda. I know you have a pretty busy evening ahead. Like Jessica said, my name is Peter Mandich. I'm the Land Conservation Manager at Northeast Wilderness Trust. And the reason I'm here today, I'll try to keep it brief, but my organization is under contract to purchase about 600 acres, known as College Hill. And as part of our fundraising process, we've applied for Vermont Housing and Conservation Board funding. The requirement of that process is that we obtain a letter of approval from the town select board. So my hope tonight is to give you a brief overview of why we're working on this project, tell you a little bit about Northeast Wilderness Trust, aka Newt, and then most importantly, open the floor to any questions you may have for me. So first of all, our mission is somewhat unique. We are a land trust. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, but we are the only regional land trust in the Northeast focused exclusively on forever wild, i.e. wilderness conservation. We currently protect over 93,000 acres across New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Connecticut, and Massachusetts. And we have an ambitious goal of reaching 160,000 acres conserved by 2030. As far as why we are specifically interested in the College Hill property, there are a few reasons. Some of you may know this land has been owned by the Sadler family since 1953, and it has essentially not been logged at all since that time. So for Vermont, and especially southern Vermont, finding a forest that old is extremely rare, particularly privately held forest. So that was the first reason. That's well on its way to developing the structures and characteristics of old growth. Secondly, the state of Vermont has identified 49 acres on the southern slopes of College Hill of a rare natural community called specifically dry red oak white pine forest. And I've spoken with some of the people who did the state inventory of these rare natural communities, and evidently College Hill has one of the best examples in the entire state of this rare red oak community. And if you have a chance to visit, it's pretty impressive. Finally, Vermont Fish and Wildlife has identified College Hill as hosting summer habitat for 2 different types of endangered bat species. And then within the broader conservation context, College Hill is in pretty close proximity to Green Mountain National Forest and would serve as a really great area of core wildlands protection within the broader conservation landscape in this region. And then lastly, I'll just say, as I'm sure you're all very much aware, the development pressure in this part of the state has only increased. Currently, there's a property for sale directly adjacent to College Hill, I believe for $10 million. And it has a house right in the, it has a house right in the middle of the property. So being able to permanently protect College Hill as wilderness, we think would serve the public, the people of Jamaica, the people of Vermont, and also the natural species or the various species that rely on this area. As far as how we work when we acquire a property, first of all, as with all our other properties, we encourage and allow low impact public access. So this includes hiking, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing. We do allow hunting of abundant prey species, so things like deer, turkey, grouse. This is by permission through our very popular hunting program. And after we purchase this property, we intend to convey a forever wild conservation easement on top of our own conservation protections to ensure that this land is never logged and never developed. So that's kind of the short version of who we are and why we're interested in this land. We anticipate a closing later this summer, and I would be happy to hear from the board and happy to answer any questions from you or from the public.
Any questions from the public? Do you want to ask about? Yeah.
I didn't hear anything about bicycles.
Good question. As with all of our properties, we do not allow biking or any other kind of mechanized recreation. That's inconsistent with our wilderness ethic, kind of similar in many ways to the federal wilderness regulations. That's designed to prevent any damage to the sensitive natural communities I alluded to. Yep.
That's unfortunate.
I have a couple of questions. Andy Coyne, the vice chair of the select board. What is the amount of money the Sadlers will receive, or is that public information? And this will never be logged ever again?
To answer your first question, that's still confidential at this time. Will remain confidential as a private transaction, at least for the time being. But you're correct. The property will never be logged and will be allowed to become old growth.
Did I hear you say that hunting, was by permission only?
That's right. So we don't post the land, but we ask any interested hunters to seek permission. We've implemented this plan, and virtually, well, the vast majority of our properties we allow hunting. We request that the public ask permission because we have certain requirements. For example, we do not generally allow predator hunting, which is a bit different than obviously the statewide regulations. But both in Vermont and all the other states we work in, we've had great success with the hunting program, and thousands of hunters every year take advantage of it.
If I may again.
Yep.
The reason I asked the first question was I was on the board and there was an adjacent property owner and there was, I don't know if I'm out of line or not, but I had to go up there and walk around a couple of times. There was some kind of dispute about a town road. Did all of that get settled out? Or is that something I'm supposed to know already? Or
I believe that I think what you may be referring to is there had been some dispute between the Sadler brothers who own the property currently, and you may be thinking of the Knight family. Correct me if I'm wrong,
Yes.
but that has all been resolved amicably since then. And there is one active town trail that enters partway into the property. My understanding is the flooding has done quite a number on it with the erosion, but the former town trail you're referring to is maintained by the Knight family at the moment, but all the boundary dispute you've mentioned has since been resolved.
And so we technically give up, what is that, a town trail?
No.
No,
No,
We'd have access to that?
Hiking easement.
there's nothing in this purchase would affect the rights of the town.
Peter, do you know, is that LT6?
Yep, that would be so the east-west running trail is LT6, and then I believe its former LT5 was the north-south running. Is that right? Yeah.
LT7, I think.
LT7, excuse me. Yep.
Another question for you, Peter, unrelated to mountain biking. Does your organization have an official position on invasive plant species on the property that you own? You just leave it to its own devices?
In general, as a general policy, we are not engaged in active intensive management of invasive species. There are instances more typically where we hold an easement on a property owned by a different conservation group where we'll allow low impact management of invasives, but as a general rule, no, we do not engage in active invasive management. Good question.
When you do an inventory of a given parcel, is that something that gets taken into account? Is that something you document? Yep, certainly.
No, we take a very careful baseline inventory. We have ecologists on staff, and I'm happy to say that, fingers crossed, we still need to complete the full inventory, but this property is looking very healthy so far.
What if the town didn't give you a letter of support? Does it matter?
It certainly matters to us. We very much would appreciate letter of support. It's not a strict requirement for VHCB funding, but it is certainly a strong preference. I think we're relatively new to the Vermont Housing Conservation Board process. Generally, we are able to fundraise very successfully without VHCB funding, but so short answer to your question is it does matter to us. We care about what the community thinks, and but long term, we expect to be able to fundraise for this project regardless.
I think one thing, can I speak?
Please, please.
My name is Heidi and I am with the Mountain Bike organization. And one thing that we are hoping for as an organization is to connect over to Stratton and the Belmont Trail. And so we would like our community to be able to connect to that wonderful recreational resource that's being created right now across the state. I'm not sure if you're aware. It will be a mountain bike trail that goes from the Massachusetts border to Canada. And that is a really valuable parcel as we're looking at connectivity through to the Winhall Municipal Forest and over to Stratton. And so in our planning and our trails vision that we have, it mentions that we hope for connectivity through there. We're not, there are a few parcels, of course, that we would have to also, like Howard Fishers would go through. We're also hoping maybe to use King Road, but I just want to have it on the record with the town. And I think you all know that we're hoping to build more trails here. And that is a valuable parcel. And we would obviously not go into the oak forest, but I just hope that maybe that could be considered by your organization as something that was already talked about, discussed. I know Chris Denon has ridden through there already, scouting it. So I think that we should consider that as something that the community members, it's a valuable community resource. I know lots of hunters hunt there. I know others have gone up there on ATVs in the past, but I don't want to lose that as a parcel that we could connect through. I'm not asking for like a trail network, but that town trail already goes very far into that parcel.
Do you know how much you would need? Maybe they could give you an easement sort of.
Yeah, I don't know, but I just
Well,
want that to be on your, I just want you to hear that that is part of what we as a community, as part of the community are hoping for.
I appreciate the comment. Heidi, did you say? I appreciate it. The Belmont Trail, I'm well aware of it. It's a pretty exciting project going in. Did you mention that you're hoping to connect the Winhall Forest to Stratton? If I heard you correctly, I think one thing I just wanted to point out is that if I'm just looking at a map here, I think the parcel we're talking about purchasing is quite a bit further east. If you were trying to just connect Winhall to Stratton Mountain, I think we might be a little bit further east of there.
Yes, it would have to connect, like I said, through a couple other parcels, Howard Fisher, and then there's a small, almost exactly square parcel in there too.
You would mention the parcel immediately adjacent to the parcel that you were contracted to purchase to the west, and that is the parcel we're referring to as Howard Fisher's.
That's right. Yep.
You're familiar with that. I believe it's on the market again. Howard Fisher, I mentioned Chris Denon. Howard Fisher had a caretaker for a while by the name of Chris Denon, who's an avid mountain biker in the area. And when we were in touch with him saying, what's your perspective on connectivity to get from Winhall Municipal Forest to Jamaica? He specifically talked about a time when he and Howard hiked the Sadler property, specifically with the connector trail in mind. It was referred to as a missing link. So that gives you a little perspective on its value in the mountain biking community. So.
Well, no, thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But certainly appreciate that perspective and understood on the connectivity piece. I can say that almost exclusively as an organizational policy, we don't allow mechanized recreation, whether it's ATVs or mountain bikes. And I understand that's disappointing to a lot of people. But wilderness in Vermont is kind of a rare resource in and of itself. And we're certainly not going out with the intention of excluding anyone for the sake of it. But I can say with almost certainty that unfortunately we wouldn't be allowing mountain biking across the actual property. Now, of course, if the town trail is, the town trail, as far as it goes, is still a legal public right of way, and we have no ability to change anything about that. But I do not think it connects all the way across the property, like you said.
Is there an alternative for mountains in that area? I'm not familiar with the area besides going right through.
The
We've
landowner,
got Toshi to the north.
and he has no interest in mountain biking.
The other thing is there's a huge USFS parcel in Jamaica that I believe is protected for bear habitat. And so USFS, that's not a parcel that we can use, a huge parcel.
It's off the West Jamaica Road.
West Jamaica Road, you can see it on that.
Blake Road.
Hmm?
Up on Blake Road, the former
Yeah.
Blake Road.
Yeah,
Well,
so
Oh, right there. Okay, yeah.
Well, I don't think if we gave a recommendation, it should be strictly hinged on a bicycle path not being able to go through there. I think there's a lot of other things to look at that either nobody cares about because they're not here or they don't know about. I mean, we're in the middle of a housing crisis. I can't see 40 houses going up there or anywhere else in Jamaica right now. But, I'm a little bit familiar with that area. I don't use it personally, but I don't really know that much about what you do except for what I've read and what the downside of this, besides the loss of maybe a bicycle path, would be aside from that. I'm not asking you to tell me that, but I don't know, as we as a town, I haven't had as much information on that side of it.
The parcel become non-taxable and then therefore that 13K would go on to the rest of our residents. Like,
Could you say that again? Sorry.
pay taxes on the property or would it become tax exempt?
It would be enrolled in current use. So right now it actually is not enrolled in current use at the moment. They had entertained the idea a couple years ago and then backed out for different reasons. But we would be using the open space category for current use.
What's that mean?
So that means they don't pay taxes, but the rest of the town pays more.
It's deferred.
Yeah.
It's deferred. It's not that it goes away.
How much?
It's like
13,000?
when you abate something, it's gotta come from somewhere,
Right.
so it falls on the rest of the
So
taxpayers.
there's an open space category of the youth value appraisal program in Vermont.
It's a relatively newer category that's only open to, my understanding is only open to conservation organizations at this time. But yeah, there is a category for that.
And so the town would receive no tax revenue if it falls into that category.
Karen was-
No, it would be not no taxes. It would be reduced compared to full taxes not enrolled in current use, as with any other current use enrolled property.
I don't remember how much it's reduced by. Do you know what the open land category would be at per acre?
I don't know off the top of my head, and yeah, I'm sorry.
I should say the property was listed, and I don't know why it has not been in current use. It is eligible for current use, so I'm not sure this buyer versus any other buyer would, whoever's buying this parcel is gonna put it in like current use. So I guess.
Right.
Hmm.
That's not necessarily true. There is a giant parcel next to the state park that is not in current use, because he doesn't want anybody telling him what he can do and can't do with his land. So it's not necessarily true.
It's not, you're right, it's not 100%, but it would be beyond bizarre not to be in current.
I
use.
understand.
Right. I just want, so I'm just sharing that typically a parcel of this nature would be.
I will just add, I will just, for a little bit more context on that point, if I may, when we got under contract for this property, we were competing against a logging or a timber company who would certainly have enrolled it in current use and would have immediately logged the property. So, you know, fingers crossed we're able to close, but that was sort of the competing offer on the table when we were able to get under contract. Thank you for the questions, though. Happy to answer any more.
Any other, shall I
I'm
call the vote
uncomfortable,
or?
I'm uncomfortable asking questions as you're disqualified.
Why?
Or if you're recused, because,
I'm recusing myself from voting.
oh, but you could answer, like, if it wasn't, if that property wasn't purchased by them,
Northeast Wilderness Trust.
it could be sold to someone else, right?
It would have been sold to a logging company. That was
Right.
what Peter just
Or
explained.
someone else if they wanted to buy it.
Right.
They outbid them.
But once we turn it over, it's gone forever for resale. We'll never get it back. No one will ever,
Well,
You'll
Peter,
never
is that a question for Peter?
I
I'm
guess
happy to
so.
answer that question. That's for Peter.
you'll have, that land will be not yours, but
It will be,
Become-
if I can answer your question, I think what you're getting at, yes, it will be conserved in perpetuity as a wilderness preserve.
okay.
But Peter, is there any reason why the Northeast Wilderness Trust couldn't sell it after you purchased it and conserve it? Or could it be sold, it would just be conserved?
It would be, well, a few things. So we would only be able to sell it to a similar qualified conservation organization who also would not develop or log it. Also due to the fact that we'll be conveying a conservation easement shortly after purchase, either to Vermont Housing and Conservation Board or to another conservation group. The easement on the property would ensure also that it remains protected as forever wild in perpetuity.
Other questions, Paul?
No, that's good.
Why wouldn't you be
not?
allowed to ask them questions?
As I'm maybe one of the only people in the room who really don't have a dog in this fight. I haven't been on my mountain bike in like 10 years. But I do have a question about the fact that if we give support to this entity to purchase this property, that takes it off the tax rolls. It also takes it off the potential, as someone has already mentioned, housing options. And I don't know that we're in a position to be giving that kind of money or that kind of property away in perpetuity when we have these needs for the community. So I'm just thinking about, as Sarah mentioned, okay, this now is no longer taxable forever.
I think it's really, these words are very important.
Yeah.
It's not the town's to give away. We are being asked if we would be willing to sign a letter of support. Not giving, we have no ownership rights in it. We are not changing, we have not been asked, nor could we at this meeting change the status of the town trails. Second, it's not off the tax rolls. The purchaser would have the ability, as any purchaser of the property, to enroll for current use, which is a tax deferral program. such that your tax obligation every year, I enjoy it myself, is lower than it would have been were you not in so-called current use. So those are really important distinctions, and I just want to make sure that the record is.
That's good, because my memory of all the machinations is a little fuzzy.
Right.
My concern was the fact that, granted, we can't grant them that, but our support of it suggests that we, as a town, are neutral about the property, its use. In my mind, I understand no motorized vehicle, but I don't understand the bikes. I don't understand her. My concern is that there's other options that could come available that we would be more, as a town, prepared to support, I believe.
I guess that went like.
Did you,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Can Peter answer? Is that?
Yeah, if he's got a direct answer, that's perfect. Yeah.
or I'm curious, again, I apologize, 'cause I didn't quite hear everything you said, but first of all, I think it's worth I wish I could show you a map. Maybe if I could share my screen, I would be able to, but if you look at the topography of this parcel.
Share your screen, I could.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I'm going to send a request here. Mainly, I wanted to share it because, all right, let's see. If you look at the topography,
I'm not seeing it yet, although I think I gave you permission.
I just shared it. Let me know if you can see it.
There.
Okay.
Okay, so the point I'm trying to illustrate is that, so here's the summit, College Hill. This is kind of where the town trail enters along that red line. This is the rare natural community. The vast majority of the property is at a pretty extreme slope and quite rocky and just difficult to traverse in general. So a few times now I've hiked around almost the entire property on foot, and I can tell you that I'm well aware that nothing is impossible to develop. I can say that based on what we've seen happening with the property next door, which is, for what it's worth, a lot less topographically challenging. One $10 million house was put in the middle of that property. It's hard to see kind of, more affordable or middle class affordable housing being realistically developed on a property with this kind of topography. I can't say it would never happen, but it's just, from a practical perspective, something that seems a little bit unlikely to me. Second of all, if I heard you correctly, you said something about the town's options. I think I just want to be clear that we would really appreciate support from the town and the community, hence why we're asking for it. We are under contract to purchase this property, though, and as a private land sale. So we fully anticipate being able to fundraise for the entire purchase price, even without VHCB funding were that to happen. So I just want to be clear, this is not we're not asking permission to purchase the land, but we of course would prefer to have support of the town, of the community.
Greg, before I call the vote, did you want to say
I think
something?
a little bit exactly what was just what Peter you just said, but I was wanting to express, partly because I am familiar with the property too, and having hiked there and just seeing exactly what you just described. But I think that the value for the public, even with the restrictions, I mean, the overwhelming value of this property being conserved exceeds any potential as far as building homes and anything like that. So that's I wanted to put that out there in kind of maybe a personal opinion, but I think that's
right.
Any
other?
We absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Just in case you're wondering.
Before I call the vote, okay. Seeing no further discussion, I'd like to call the vote on the signing of a letter in support of the purchase by Northeast Wilderness Trust of the College Hill property.
I'll second.
Okay. No further discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Andy?
No,
And I abstain. Thank you, Peter. Thank you for
Thank you
coming.
very much for your time and the thoughtful questions. I appreciate the board and the members of the public who came and asked questions. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we have, I'm gonna skip over the next, which was Chris Robbins, because we actually did it as part of the organizational meeting. And besides the fact that I misspelled his name, so I apologize, Chris. So there's what is Greg, what was in the box? An overweight permit?
There's 3 overweight permits.
Okay, can I ask you to recite those?
I will read off the first one here, and all 3 of them I'll just note for the record. Sarah's already received payment and acknowledged proof of insurance. The first one here is for RK Miles. I will make a motion to accept the overweight permit for RK Miles.
Second? Okay, any discussion? Oh,
do we have our mud season disclaimers
The
on,
mud season disclaimer is on here,
there it is,
which starts in about 5 days.
5 minutes.
Already started.
I was just curious.
Yep.
Always good to have that on there this
Any other-
time of year.
Yes, absolutely. Any other discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The second one is for David Chaves Excavating. I'll make a motion to approve the overweight permit.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And the third one here is for Gurney Brothers Construction at North Springfield. I'll make a motion to accept the overweight permit.
Second.
Great. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, so for Christina, the next 2 items on the agenda are first to approve the timesheets. That's, the work, the hours, and pay for each of the members of the town office, the listers, highway department, which is the road crew, and the transfer station. They're in a book down there and you'll have an opportunity to review them.
Okay.
But I will make a motion to approve the timesheets.
Second.
Thank you.
Can
Question?
I just add or ask, sometimes we are able to look at these before are they still up on, Sarah?
I have not been putting them on.
Okay, I didn't know.
But they're always here before the
Right,
meeting.
not just for the new person.
Right,
I didn't
right.
know whether we're doing.
But when
it or
we,
not.
when we have a new person, I think.
Right,
we'll-
no, it's
we'll
just
get
curious,
to
because obviously I haven't looked.
that. Right. And any other discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The next is pay orders. Those are the warrants for bills that we pay on a regular basis. Same thing. So I will make a motion to approve the pay orders.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Great. Public, please, go ahead.
So I've sat through a few town meetings over the years recently, and there's a couple things that I always want to raise my hand, but I thought I'd come to you instead. One is that we gave the fire department and the Masonic Lodge, they're exempt from paying taxes, and both of, I don't know about behind the fire department, but definitely the lot in front of the Masonic, other than people like meeting people there for the school bus or maybe to do rides, I'm just wondering, there's nowhere in our town for a parking ride. Like Winhall has the parking ride out front of, I forget which building it is, maybe the town office is there. So I'm thinking, every time I'm sitting through the town meeting and we're saying, we give them tax exemption, I'm thinking, wow, that parking lot sits empty. We have nowhere for, like right now, I'm thinking my road's gonna be impassable for who knows how long. And I asked Karen, can I park in your driveway and ride my bike or walk? So is there a place, and there's nowhere to meet a friend and go somewhere with. So I'm thinking, because I just like to have that, don't answer it now, obviously, but just have that on your radar as something that our town needs. And we give them
There is the bank.
Okay, but like, we also just always ask permission because nobody, we don't know.
No, right,
We
right,
use
right.
that-
No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, yeah. No, there are places, but it would be nice if other people who
Official.
don't live here knew that they could carpool. 'Cause I think that's real important. And then the other thing is, I always see that $5,000 that we spend on streetlights. And I know for one, there's a streetlight up South Hill. I have no idea why it's on. And I'm just wondering if, I know it's small potatoes, but have we ever looked at all the streetlights that we're paying for and to see if they're really needed or if they're just really just light pollution? So those are two small things that I just wanted to bring to the board's attention.
Well, I'll let, Greg, did you want to address the streetlight question, or we can, I
I
can bring
think,
it up?
I do know that it was evaluated several years ago when Pat was actually the town
Right.
clerk. And a number of them were removed,
Okay.
but maybe it's worth an exercise to go evaluate them again.
I don't know.
Most of them are probably in legitimate places or whatever in the village and that type of thing. I know there's a few in Rossville, but
Right.
that's about all.
They were changed out.
The bill, I'm like, why are we paying all this?
I'd say the one up South Hill on the left, directly across from.
The old bank property.
Yeah, from.
And some of them are private. I don't know about that one in particular. And I think they have all been switched out to be LED lights and stuff like that.
So maybe that. one-
Yeah, I don't know that we pay up South Hill.
I don't know if that's included in the village.
I'd be interested to know. I have a hard time believing that landowner would want that light on, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that like a
I
bad
do
deal?
feel safer that way.
So I'm gonna put on the agenda for the next meeting, the other 2 points that you raised. I'm sorry, the park and ride, potentially in both the Masonic Lodge and the bank building. So Karen, I'll come to you separately on that, and I can go to the folks at the Masonic Lodge. Because we could put out a sandwich board or something that says from date to date, if you need to use these spots for a park and ride, because there are a lot of roads that, depending on how tough the season is, where that could be helpful.
Yeah, and I just think in general, people being able to carpool.
Right,
You're meeting your friend, right, who's coming from Brattleboro and you wanna go to Manchester.
Yeah.
where you
Right.
leave a car.
right,
I mean, at school, I guess, I don't know, it's.
right.
Yeah, the
I
school
think
is
of
not
that as
open.
being seasonal, because in the winter, you can't leave your car in front.
Right, you can't, yeah, because everything has to be plowed, but it could be for periods of time,
So
for
it might have to
sure,
be a
for
seasonal
sure.
thing.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's worth asking Windhall, like what, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
how do they do theirs?
Is there a third community center? Is that where theirs is?
I thought it's like
No, it's at the town
Northwest.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's that little, like where the bridge is, there's like whatever, 5 or 6 spots there or something, right? Isn't it like at between the
Oh,
post
actually,
office and the
across
bridge,
from, yeah.
right?
Little spot there.
It's- Yeah, yeah,
Oh, no.
No, you mean
It's up by
at
the town office.
by the police department. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
that's,
actually-
oh, that
They got two
one,
big
that's a
municipal
parking.
properties.
there is a parking right there.
Oh,
I mean, I don't know how many spaces, but I don't know.
I don't know that we would, yeah, but, certainly seasonally, I mean, I think that's a fantastic idea. I mean, that's just me personally, so something to be discussed, but yeah, for sure. Paul, you had something?
The ways may have passed. About the lights, the last time we looked at that, years ago, I believe, if my memory serves me, and that's always in doubt, but I believe it has something to do with the approach to the, inhabited part of the town. As you come down South Hill Road, you begin to get into the inhabited or the more densely populated part.
Thickly settled.
Thickly settled.
Yeah, thickly settled.
Thickly settled.
Yeah, I love that sign, like you could put away if they will it.
Yeah, like maybe sometimes of the year you could call it thinly settled.
Barely.
But those lights, when Pat looked at them, they were all switched out for more efficient lights,
LEDs or something.
which was quite a savings there. That was the hook to do that. She did it. She took it. She took that on. Remember?
Yeah, I do, but I'm just saying the reason why, when we figure out where the end of the town, it has to do with approaching the town.
Right.
And you could alert people
That makes sense.
not familiar with the area, that they're becoming.
To the end of that wicked steep hill with the stop sign.
Karen, did you have anything?
I just got back from vacation.
Okay, so you're back. I was like, I didn't, I
Don't
was
get
certain you were back. I know, now I'm gonna, she's back.
Oh, you should have heard them.
Any other public concerns? If not, I'll.
I do have
Oh,
one.
please.
All right, so the flagpole that the guy donated
Mhm.
broke. Someone has the flag and it's not him.
It's in the church.
Okay, that's good. He didn't know where it was. So I know that I talked to him while he was there looking at it. He was gonna go to Runnings and I'm just gonna ask the board.
Thank you.
I couldn't get a straight answer out of him. Should we, unless he's intent on finding a stronger flag, would we put in a military or whatever it would be that wouldn't blow over?
Is there some, yeah.
We were gonna, and what happened, I think what happened was, yes, like the one across the street from my house. But I think we kept saying we were going to, and it kept falling off the radar, and this guy took it upon himself, out of the goodness of his heart, put one up, and now it snapped off. Nobody hit it. It just blew over from the wind. It's like 1/8 gauge at the bottom. So there's a memorial site there, Karen, right? And it's gonna be a bigger one someday. So if there's a flag there, it should have a light on it. Maybe it does. But should we, as a town, if he was all right with it, should we install? Who would we ask? Who would we ask for the,
Should pay to,
yes,
to put in a stronger flagpole that was to replace.
So we'll get some bids.
Yeah.
Let's
I
get some
just
bids.
don't know who to ask, how big, how heavy, who would even know that?
I'll ask GPT 4.0. It'll give
I know
us
a
some
flag
idea.
company that would know, but
Yeah, maybe.
in North
yeah.
Carolina.
I'm sure
Allegiance,
whatever it is, it probably has to come
flagpoles.
from somewhere else. I don't
Right.
think there's a Vermont flag.
Though this post came from Runnings.
Oh, this one.
Hinsdale,
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
we had some really strong winds, but,
yes.
so anyway, I just wanted to, I don't know where we really left it in discussion, but he was still gonna look, and if he does it again,
I have something.
Oh, please,
I just
please.
remembered, sorry. I just wanted to put it out there for people watching TV and in the room too, that, but we are going to be putting out the RFPs for the roadside mowing and for the cemetery mowing, which are typically due the first meeting in April. So just so awareness, anybody watching, that those will be going out, keep your eyes out if you're interested in bidding on those.
Great, thank you.
So do you need to make a motion about that flagpole? or
I,
not?
No, I'm gonna bring it up at the next
Okay.
meeting.
should I
Do some research.
contact
It's on
him?
the, I'll put it on the agenda.
Should I contact him to make sure that he's not, to ask him what he thinks? Because I didn't really tell him I was gonna tell the board, but I didn't tell him I wasn't either. I
Right.
just hate to have him go get another one if we, but, and then how quick could we do it? In a month or two or before Memorial Day?
Right,
That
so
is
it's
fine.
frozen
Before-
and it really does in part depend on how it gets installed. So
Yeah.
first we have to get a price for the pole and we have to get a price for installation.
Okay,
So I'm gonna put it on the agenda for next meeting. Let's
Yeah.
see what we can find out in the next 2 weeks.
be the board's wish, I'll contact him and tell him that that's what we talked about it.
Sure.
That's what I'll tell him.
Please, and thank him.
Oh, I did, and we did before, but
Right.
anonymously.
Well, we did publicly with his name, so I would like to say thank you to Sean O'Brien and the O'Brien family.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, one last thing, Paul? No? You were gonna say that. Okay.
Something like that, the thing is that we'll put up flagpoles for lots of reasons. I would certainly contact him to let him know that we're interested in doing it ourselves and thank him for his contribution. But if that's a memorial in his mind, we have to respect that.
Okay,
Clearly, he should get contacted.
Yes.
We do have Pi Day coming up, community potluck on Friday, Pi Day, 3/14.
Oh.
Oh,
Pie.
Pie.
DI.
Oh, no.
For.
I thought it
And
meant
where is
something
that?
else.
6 o'clock at the town hall,
Pie?
bring a pie.
Oh,
Now, this can be
Even
an
better.
apple pie, an
Can be
apple
sweet or
pie,
savory.
Pizza
A
pie.
pizza pie, shepherd's pie,
Quiche
chicken
pie.
pot pie, quiche, yes.
Cool.
What time?
So it'll be fun, 6
6.
o'clock,
Pie.
yes. And
3.1.
Saturday, March 22nd at 7 o'clock is the Bill's Mill movie.
Yes.
That is being shown in the town hall
great.
by donation.
That's excellent.
It's very good. I saw it in
Seen
Brattleboro. Yeah,
It was in
Jamar and I went to
Lodges?
Brattleboro, yeah, to Lodges.
Ah.
That was. It's good.
It's very
Yeah.
well.
I'm
expect
so
the
looking
house-
forward to it.
Yeah.
That's not, oh,
It's getting a lot of attention.
yes.
Say 2 o'clock?
No.
7 o'clock,
Seven, even,
Saturday,
the 22nd.
the 22nd.
All right, I will make a motion to adjourn. Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.